Hello friends, and welcome back or welcome to another video. And today we are doing my March wrap up, and I think I had a pretty good wrap up. I left my journal inside, so I'm gonna go grab that really quickly. Alrighty friends, so I have my journal here and I haven't finished coloring in the days of like my pages read. I have the numbers written down, I just haven't colored them in. But as you can see, this was my TBR. I only read 4 books while I DNF'd one. So let's just get it over with. The DNF was owned. Y'all know that series was like cringy to me, and I tried to do it. I did, but I could not do it anymore. So it is no longer on my shelves. I am going to be posting them on Pango. So yeah, so here are all of the books that we read this month. We read 17. We're gonna go in no particular order because the way my books are stacked right now. But, all right, we're gonna do Sinner's Playground first. So this is Sinner's Playground by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. This is the same authors of the Zodiac Academy, and this is their Harlequin Crew series. I need some air. It's hot in here. Why don't you just start the car and turn the air on, Haley? Why am I even doing the wrap up in the car anyway? I don't know, just cause. All right, Sinner's Playground. I gave this one 4 stars. I read the first 3 books in this series like 2 or 3 years ago, and then I put it down because the last book wasn't out yet, and I was one of those things where I binged them back to back to back. And if I do that with a series, I get like burnout, so to say, uninterested. I no longer care. So with this one, I have been reading books in between it. So in our story, we are following our main character, Rogue, and 10 years ago, she had 4 best friends, which were Maverick, JJ, Chase, and Fox. And they kind of were like, they all had like not great upbringings. One of them had, you know, there was abuse in the home. So, I mean, like 2 of them grew up and like, their dad was like a gang lord. So I mean, not great upbringings, but they were all best friends. And something happens to where Rogue has to leave town, and she thinks that they abandoned her. So we pick up 10 years later, and something happens that has made Rogue come back to town. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It does happen on like page 2. Yeah, page 2. But I don't want to spoil it for you because I was like, girl, no. And that is why she has come back to town, and she realizes that, you know what, while I'm here, I might as well get revenge. So that is where our story picks up, and we follow them. It is a reverse harem, so there is going to be a relationship between her and the 4 of them. It is a slow burn, but yeah, it's really, really good. Really good. I'm reading book 2 right now. I found this movie. Okay, this is a series that I read when I was like 13. And I found out that they had come out with a movie in 2016, and I never watched it. And so I pulled it up like a week or 2 ago, and I was like, I'm gonna watch it. Well, then it made me want to reread the books. So I ordered the box set, and we read the first one, and that is Fallen by Lauren Kate. This series is about our girl Lucinda. Is it Lucinda, or is it, they call her Luce? It's, yeah, Lucinda Price. And we start off, she is being taken to a reform school because something happened at her old school, where they kicked her out, and so now she has to go to this reform school. And there she meets Daniel Grigori. I don't know how to pronounce that. Grigori, one of the 2. Grigori, Grigori, Grigori. I'm gonna say Grigori. And she feels like she knows him, but she can't remember from where. And so we pick up from there. It is a romance, and they do have this story does have fallen angels in it. That's why it's called Fallen. But yeah, I had a good old time. I binged this in like 24 hours, reliving my childhood. I gave this 4 stars. I saw on Goodreads that there the ratings are not that great on Goodreads. I think it's like a 3 point something. But if you go into this knowing that it was published in 2009, I believe it was published in 2009, that would make me 14 when I read it, not 13. yeah, it was, if you go into this knowing that it was published in 2009, it probably has not aged well. Like, you'll enjoy it. Don't take it too seriously. I didn't. And so I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I love reliving my childhood. So this is the first series I'm going to start with in reliving my childhood. I may do the Divergent series next because I do miss reading that series. All right. Once again, no particular order. I read The Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson. I am slowly making my way through the Remnant Chronicle series so that I can jump into A Dance of Thieves, the duology, because this is like a prequel series, or they're all in the same world or something. So this one, the first one, I did not care for that much. I gave it 3 stars. This one I gave 3.75. I really enjoyed it. You get more of the romance in this one than you did the first one. In case you didn't know, it is a love triangle. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. There's not really much I can tell you about it because it is the second book in a series, but I liked it better than the first one, so maybe the third one will be, you know, 4 or 5 stars. All right, next up, if it'll come out, I read What Lies Beneath the Veil. I gave Beyond the Veil. So this one is like kind of like ACOTAR, where there's like a veil that separates the humans from the Fae, and then one day it falls. There is fated mates. The only thing with this is I was bored a lot. Like, you would get a moment where something would happen, and then I would get bored, and then something else would happen, and then I'd get bored again. So that's why I gave it 3.5. It is spicy, so there is a, like, they don't actually like do anything. It's just like they're talking, I guess you would say. I don't know. I'm terrible at explaining this, but if you like ACOTAR, you might like this. It is very similar as far as like the veil, fated mates, and all of that. But other than that, it was a little bit boring. I do have the next one that I'm going to pick up sometime, hopefully before I forget everything that happened in this one. I do have the audiobook. I didn't have to pay for it. I don't know if it's like part of like Audible's like premium thing, but I did listen to the audiobook. And the narrator did really good doing the male voice. Usually it cringes me out when there's one narrator and they try to do the male and female voice, but they did really good with this one. Let's see, I read Never Lie while I listened to it. I read Never Lie by Frida McFadden. I give this one 4 stars. So this is a mystery thriller, and this is about a newlywed couple who are trying to buy a house. And they think they found the house of their dreams, and they go to view the house and they get snowed in. And when they're snowed in, they start finding things in the house, like the house belongs to a therapist, and she would record all of her sessions, and while they're there they find tapes and start listening, and she has been missing for 3 years, and so they're like slowly trying to figure out what happened. Really, really good. The twists and turns I did not see coming. Usually with Frida I can like kind of guess, but no, complete opposite of what I guessed. So quite enjoyed it. I finished, where is the other one? I finished the Boys of Bellerose series. I gave this one 4 stars, and I gave this one 4 stars. So I gave them both 4 stars. This one was 3 peppers and this one was 4.5. Really enjoyed it. If you like Mafia and rock stars, you will love this series. This is a reverse harem, so she does end up with 4, I believe. Yeah, 4. I love Tate James writing. I will read anything she writes. I've got her next trilogy, I believe. I've got about the 3rd one, but I've got the first 2 in the trilogy. And so, and I'm gonna usually reread the Madison Kate series every year, so that'll be coming up probably in the summer. But I finished it. I can't really tell you much about it because it is the 3rd and the last one in a series, but I quite enjoyed it. I started the Kingdom of the Wicked series by Carrie Maniscalco, and I gave it 3.5, 4 stars. If I were to go back, I'd probably give it like 3.5. So basically we follow Amelia, and she finds her twin sister Victoria murdered, and so she teams up with Wrath, who is one of the princes of hell, to find out who murdered her sister, to solve the mystery. So we just follow them, you know, two sisters, a brutal murder, a quest for vengeance, and an intoxicating romance. The only thing I would say about this book is that we needed more wrath. We needed more wrath. As much as I've heard about Wrath on Book Talk and everything, I would have thought that he would have been more prominent in this book. I did read the first like 3 or 4 chapters of the second one, and Wrath is very much more prominent in that one, so I might enjoy that one more. But yeah, so this one was about 3.5 stars. It is, the first book is YA, the second one is not. So she started off YA and she slowly kind of went into adult. I'm running out of spaces to put these books. I read the second book in the Savage Land series, Wildlands. I gave this book 4 stars. This series is one of those where, is it good? No. Is it addictive? Yes. Now I'm getting cold. Is it addictive? Yes. But it's not something that I will want to read back to back to back, because it does get very, very repetitive. There's a lot of stuff blowing up. I swear, like, their idea of how to fix things is to blow something up. So there's a lot of it's just, anyway. So basically in this series we follow our main character Brexley, who was born the same night that the veil or the wall fell between the Fey world and the human world. And she is kind of like a Robin Hood kind of thing, where she would she was raised up by a very prominent man in like family in society, and that's where she has her best friend Kaden, and she kind of does this whole Robin Hood thing where she steals from them and gives to the poor. And she is caught one night and thrown into a death prison, and we follow her from there. There's magic. I haven't quite got a hold onto the magic system yet, but I'm just here for a good time, so I gave it 4 stars. Then halfway through the month I was like, you know what would be a good read? The Red Queen series. After in my TBR video I said that I did not want to read the Red Queen series right now. I read it anyway. I gave this 4 stars, I believe. Yeah, 4 stars. This is a reread. I read the first 2 like years ago and I never finished, and so I did not remember a thing about this series. But our main character Mare and her family are red blood. So in this world you have the reds and the silvers. If you are red blood, you're just common. Basically you work for the silvers, like you fight in the world wars for them. And the silvers usually are born with some kind of ability. Well, Mare accidentally discovers a power of her own that she didn't know she had, and the Silver King is forced to hide the impossibility of her power and betroth her to one of his sons. And we followed it from there. Let's just say that plot twist, when they say chapter 26, they ain't kidding. So 4 stars. I'm really interested in picking up the second one again. I read the second one before, but I'm really interested in picking it up again. But I'm worried. I think that's where things started getting slower, because I know the first one I remember being really good, and then as we went I was like, I don't know. I reread Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. Once again, another series I started years ago and never finished, so I reread this one. They are like being traditionally published, so they're coming out with the new covers, and I've just been buying them up as I go. I gave this 4 stars. Yes, there's a lot of 4 stars this month. I gave this one 4 stars. Very much enjoyed it. We follow Erica and Michael, and basically Devil's Night, they call it Devil's Night, but it's usually Halloween night. Michael and his friends would go around terrorizing town, you know, doing pranks and stuff, and some of them end up getting thrown in jail, and they are back years later. And we're following Erica, who is going to school in a new city, and we're following Michael and his friends. So I don't really want to give much away, but I enjoyed it. I read Daisy Hates the Great Undoing, so now all I have left is Magnolia Parks. I don't know if I'm ready for the series to end, but I gave this one 3.75. If you've read the Magnolia Park series before, you know that you're either a Magnolia girly or a Daisy girly. I am a Magnolia girly. So the first Daisy Hates book I gave 3 stars. This one was 3.75. I did enjoy it. I can't really tell you much about it because once again it's in a series. But we're following Daisy, Christian, and her brother Julian. Let's just say Julian hates y'all. That's what bumped it up in that rating. Julian hates. His point of views, Love him. I started my reread of Throne of Glass. The first time I read this after Crown of Midnight, but I wanted to go through like the traditional order, and I really wish I would have read this first the first time I read it, because it really sets you up for the first book and it gets you more emotionally attached, because something that happens in here, if you read it after Crown of Midnight, you already know what happened and it doesn't quite hit you as hard. So very much enjoy this. So if you haven't heard of the Throne of Glass series, that we are following Selena Sardothian, and she is the kingdom's most feared assassin. And in this book we are doing, is it 3 or 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 novellas following her time before she ends up in like book 1, where she ends up in the prison. We are following her before that, and very much enjoy it. You meet characters in here that will come into play later on in the series, and that's something I like about Sarah J Maas. When you read her series, it's very much thought out. Everything comes back into play later. You may think one minute detail has nothing to do with it. Later on it comes back into play and you're like, I see where she went. So I very much enjoyed it. The reason why I'm rereading this is because this is like my least loved series by her. And I'm hoping that upon reread, see, the first time I read it, I just kind of blew through it. And I'm hoping that I can reread it and enjoy it more. I'm collecting the hardcover copies. I got me some pretty customized dust jackets for them. So every time they come in, I get to put a new dust jacket on. It's so pretty. But yeah, so I'm hoping this time around I can appreciate and enjoy it more than I did the first time. And I can say that I enjoyed Assassin's Blade more this time than I did the first time. So yeah. I read Don't Let Me Fall by Kelsey Ray. This was a reread. It's signed. The only thing about this book is it is so stiff. Like if you hold it open, like that's as far as it, like there is no crack in that spine. There is no crack in that spine, which I hate cracking spines, so that's fine by me. But this is a hockey romance. Kelsey Ray, in my opinion, does the best hockey romances. Love them. I'll eat them up. So in this one we're following Ashlyn and Colt. And he shows up. What is the name of their college? I don't even pay attention to their college. I don't know, but Ashlyn is already at this college and Colt transfers in, and she is dating one of his best friends. And his best friend is a douche. And through most of the book, Colt is like loving her from afar. Like he's interested, but he doesn't want to do his friend that way, and he doesn't do cheating. He hates cheating. There is no cheating in this book. Well, I'm not going to say that. From her and him, there's no cheating. There is some cheating in this book, but not from the main characters. So through this whole book, he's like talking about how much, you know, how beautiful he thinks she is, and he's telling her boyfriend like she could do so much better, and it's really good. It is really good. I gave this 4 stars. Yes, 4 stars. I love, like, this is another series. This is a reread for me. This is another series I started years ago and never finished. This is a series of interconnected standalones. I read the first 2. There are 5 in it, I believe. And so yeah, I'm rereading the first 2 so that I can get kind of acclimate myself with the characters, so that when I read on, I know who's who. And then lastly, I read books 2 and 3 of the From Blood and Ash series. I gave this one 4.75 and I gave this one 4.5. Love these series. I already got bookish shirts to go along with this series. Like, this series is my Roman Empire. Oh no, this is not the last book I read. You're sitting on the last book. Anyway, this series is my Roman Empire. This and The Boys of Tommen and ACOTAR and Throne of Glass. This is my Roman Empire. I think of these characters at least once a day. And I'm like, I want to go read another book, but this series isn't complete. So if I read another book, that's another book closer to not having the next book. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really tell you much about these because they are the next in a series. But basically this series follows Poppy, who is the maiden of her country. And it is said that she is going to ascend, and actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of confusing. But she is the maiden. She is not allowed, like, people are not allowed to look at her. They're not allowed to talk to her. She's not allowed to talk to them. Basically, she can stay in her room and watch paint dry. She, like, that's basically it. I'm gonna put these down while I'm talking because they are heavy. But that's basically it. And she is supposed to be like the key to helping her country, or like her kingdom, make more of these Ascended. And the Ascended, you will find out about them in this more in the second book of what they really are, so I don't want to really spoil anything. And then she ends up getting a new guard, Hawk, and we kind of follow those two characters along the way. All I've got to say is I love you, Hawk. And then let me set you up on some books so that I can get the book that I want to tell you about. And then the last book I read this month, Redeeming 6 by Chloe Wash. I am up to date on the Boys of Tommen series. Did I enjoy this book? Did I? You tell me. Look at that. I think I tabbed on almost every page. Like, look at that. Look at all those tabs. Of course, 5 freaking stars. Every book in this series is 5 stars. I've gotten my best friend to read it. Like, I tell everybody that asks for a book recommendation, read the Boys of Tommen series, but check trigger warnings because it does touch on some dark topics. I love the series. I love Johnny and Shannon. I love Joey and Aoife, and I cannot wait for Gypsy and Claire's book. Like, the way this ended, like, I need it now. Now, please. It comes out the 16th, and I'm so excited. It's already pre-ordered. It's going to be showing up on my doorstep on April 16th. And that's probably when I'm going to pick up and read. I don't even tell you what this is about if you've never heard of this. So the Boys of Tommen series basically follows, so the first 2 books are about Shannon and Johnny. And Johnny is a rugby player, and Shannon comes from a poor part of town, and her home life is not that great. And she ends up going to Tommen College, where Johnny goes, because of some bullying and things that happened. And so when she gets there, we kind of follow her and Johnny and their group of friends. And then Saving and Redeeming 6 follows Shannon's brother Joey, and it follows Joey and Aoife. They start off as friends and then they become boyfriend and girlfriend. We follow their story. We get what happened before, what happened in Binding 13 and Saving 6, and then we get in Redeeming 6 what happened in Keeping 13 from Joey and Aoife's perspective, and then a little bit of what happened after. It gets worse before it gets better. But favorite series of all time. There is not a day that goes by that I do not think about these characters. They feel like my best friends. They feel like that I could just call them up and be like, hey, how you doing? I will forever reread this series. Forever reread it. I have been collecting every copy that I can find. I have, as you can see, the UK copy. I have bought all the New Bloom copies that I plan to reread and annotate those. I have some of the indie copies, not all of them. I just have Binding and Keeping 13 and the indie copies that I have read and annotated. So this is my Roman Empire. Read it. All right, so that is the 17, I believe. And those are the 17 books that I read in March. So let's do a little flip through. Here is my March. These are all the books I hauled. And we saw those in videos. And then my TBR that I was terrible at, reading. And then my books. Here is April. Whoa. And then here is, wow, I skipped a page. You wanna know my favorite part about this is this washi tape right here. I love this washi tape. But yeah, so that is what I read. It's hard to believe it is already April, y'all. All right, so let's do a quick thumbnail. So that is all of the books I read in the month of April. Whoa girl, March. Those are all the books I read in the month of March. If you have not already, subscribe, become a part of my bookish community. My goal is to get to 300 subscribers right now. And of course, they keep going up from there. But right now it is 300. So if you have not already, please subscribe. And don't forget to like this video. Do all the YouTube things. And I will see you in my next one.